What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Apollo Art Analysis. This episode, we're going to be taking a look at a piece by an established AI generative artist known as Lostcauseblue. This episode, we're going to be talking a little bit about aesthetic achieved through light. We're going to talk about the royal palace in Phnom Penh, and we're also going to talk about the incredible importance of inspired imitation. So let's jump right into it. So when I first see this work, you're met with quite a wide spatial composition, and this is, really necessary to display such a grand scene before us. And we see this really pristine palace. It really just commands a majority of the canvas here, and of course there are multiple registers and kind of layers and boundaries before you get to, say, the highest levels there. And so we see, an incredible use of light within the work before us. Of course, you have, whether it's the reflection, a little bits of gold around here, whether it's that kind of sky that acts as a perfect neutral backing. All of those really work together to accent the kind of pastel tones, but also the form of our pristine palace as well. So all of those are really grand introduction for sure. And so in the realm of color, we see mostly this kind of pink, little bit of like light peach colors, and of course we have the much more darker tones, dark green as well. Bit of, I would say, kind of a bluish, hard to say for sure, like a light cyan. It's hard to say for sure, but these are really, really dreamy, very pastel, of course, pink, delicate, and light. Really, really like the introduction here. And so there is a bit of texture. So we see texture, whether it's kind of the leaves around here, but I would say the majority of the texture is provided by these kind of wispy clouds here. And this is really, really important. Of course, clouds and any type of smoke or mist are always going to give us a sense of texture. You have that kind of roiling, those kind of roiling constant curves of the clouds form. So that does give a sense of implied motion, but it's not too overpowering. There is this kind of misty kind of, what would you say, element or aesthetic to the work at hand, but it's not overpowering. It is a very calm, it's a very tranquil piece, so it's not too intense for sure. And so we also see just a bit of motion here. Of course, you have, say, the curves of the falling here. You have a bit of gravity displayed there. Then you, of course, have the constant curves of those clouds. And so, with that in mind, of course, just subtle bits of energy, not very overpowering, a very calm and a very captivating composition for sure. And so we see kind of a pastel sense here, and pastels are normally attributed to kind of a lighter or dreamy type of color. It's hard for me to put into words, but over time, I'm sure I'll get it. And so, that does give us a very delicate piece. Even though this stands, very strong in the background, we have the delicate wisp of those, light dusted clouds there. So that really does, I think that helps with that sense of delicacy in this display for sure. And so this piece was actually inspired by an original post. I have a bit of references here. And so this was the original artist that Lostcauseblue referenced, and this was actually the original piece or the original post. And so this was made in Disco Diffusion, and so the prompt was a beautiful painting of ancient China palace shining above Rose River by Krins Kushart, trending on ArtStation with a red color scheme. And so we see the interpretation of Disco Diffusion there. And so this original, or these sets of works, there's actually around 4 here. And so this was the original inspiration that this artist used to create this. So we don't know the exact prompt for this work, but we do have a close replica. I got a little bit of a hint by the original artist. This is the closest we're going to get. And then on top of that, you could substitute that for the royal palace in Phnom Penh. And so we're going to take a look at that next. And this is the royal palace in the capital of Cambodia here. And so this is the inspiration of, alongside, of course, that previous post that we saw for the work which stands before us. And this is quite interesting. Of course, Cambodia, you still have those, let's see, let me just move this over here. So you still have, say, the kind of curved elements of the Far Eastern architectural style, but it does have a much more kind of, I guess you would say, an elevated or layered sense to that. And of course, it peaks at the very top by like Mount Meru. And so with that in mind, of course, we see the inspiration directly. And of course, whether it's multiple layers, whether it's just this grand sense and those incredible priceless peaks at the top, we definitely see the inspiration, of course, the influence from the royal palace in Cambodia all the way to the work which stands before us here. So I wanted to reference that and kind of show you guys a bit of importance there. And so with this in mind, this piece feels very dreamlike. Let's see, we'll move these out of here. We'll just put this back here. So this piece does feel very dreamlike, whether it's kind of that misty haze, whether it's kind of the lightest colors. Whether it's the lightest colors or, the reflection around here, all of this feels very dreamlike. And Of course, those kind of golden bits, and then, of course, the incredibly ornate palace here. This does feel like we're looking at some type of divine destination. And so that is, of course, achieved by intensity of light, by the kind of ornate, incredible of the architectural style there. All of that, of course, brings us to a very divine visual experience and a divine destination for sure. And so this piece was actually made in AI generative art. So this was made a mixed media across a bunch of different programs. If you'd like to reference those, it's going to be in the description. It's almost about 5 programs that was made here. But there's Google AI Collab notebooks with multiple other iterations as well. So this is a mixed media AI generative work, and you can really see just what happens when you push it to its proper limits. So we're blessed with just an incredible piece here, very divine visual experience and a very captivating composition and a very charming canvas for sure. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys enjoyed this work, go check out the original artist, AI generative artist known as Lostcause or Lostcauseblue. Hope you guys enjoyed. You could also check out the inspirations of we referenced earlier in the video as well. You could also look at, say, the Royal Palace in Cambodia. Hope you guys enjoyed. My name is Apollo. This was Apollo Art Analysis, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. If you'd like to support our work directly, please check out our Apollo community tokens. Apollo Art Exchange is an ecosystem of art appreciation which elevates artists each and every day. Thanks for listening.